Everyone, I'm Mrs. Green. I'm back to do another lesson with you. Remember last week when we were together, we did collage where we took different pieces of paper and we put them together using scissors and glue. Today we're going to do something different, similar, although we're not going to be using paper, scissors, and glue. We're going to be using natural materials. And no glue required for this. The artist that this project is inspired by, his name is Andy Goldsworthy. He's a British artist who still works today. He does a lot of what we call land art, where he creates images using things from the environment. And you can learn way more about him and see lots and lots of amazing pictures of his work. Just click the link below and you can learn some more information, but you can also do a Google search and find lots of images. So he goes out into the woods or into a park or into a field, and he finds things that inspire him around there, like rocks and leaves and branches and different elements from nature. And he takes those and he creates a new design with those materials in nature on the land. So it's really cool to look at. He still uses some of the same things we use in art. He's thinking about color, he's thinking about what value they have, if they're really light or if it's dark, how he can use those to put them together. He's also thinking about line. So some of his images have lines in them. Some of his pieces are circular, what we call radial, because they go in a circle and a radius. And some of his pieces actually go up and out of the ground like a sculpture. So he thinks about all those things. He's thinking about space, he's thinking about line, he's thinking about color, while he's recreating something new in the environment. The thing about these pieces is that they're in the environment. They're made of natural materials and they're left to the elements. So those pieces do not last forever. They're what we call ephemeral, which means that they're temporary. They don't stay around forever. Wind will blow them away, an animal may come through and destroy it. You can think of all kinds of other things that might happen to something in the environment. So they're not pieces that are meant to last forever. What he does is he photographs them. So that's an important part of the process, because if he doesn't get good photo documentation of it, then you'll never know it existed. So that's really where the experience of creating the image and then photographing it. So when you guys are going to make some of your own, I'm going to show you a little bit more about the process. But when you make your own, maybe you can make sure you photograph it. So that way you have a permanent record of something that's temporary, ephemeral. So I'm going to show you guys some pictures of my work that I did, my version of an Andy Goldsworthy. And then we're going to come back here and I'm going to show you how to make one in your own home. So if you have materials around your house that you can use to do that. So we're going to pause, we'll look at those, and then I'm going to show you how you can do that. Okay, so now we're outside and we're looking for objects of nature to use in our Andy Goldsworthys. But there's some rules we need to follow when we get out here. The first and foremost thing is that we are in nature, we're using nature as our medium, but we also want to be respectful of nature and the surroundings. So we are not pulling leaves off trees, we're not picking flowers, we're not pulling berries off the trees, we're not taking limbs or twigs off the trees either. We're only finding things that are already fallen, things that are already on the ground. As you can see, I'm going around and I'm looking. I got inspired by the eucalyptus leaves that I saw around me. And so I started picking those up. They have lots of different colors, like I can have reds and I can have yellows and some greens, and they had different lengths. Some were long, some were short. So that offered a lot of opportunity for me to create something. And I also found this rock. So the next thing I had to do is find a good spot, find my little spot where I was going to create my work of art. And so once I found a good spot, I used the rock as the center of my flower. And then I began arranging red leaves around the rock, because I decided I was going to do, as I mentioned, I thought about doing a flower, and that makes it a radial design. It goes in a circle, and so I was pulling out my red ones, and I'm just sliding them under the rock to make the center of my flower. One thing I was struggling with was the stems were getting in my way. So eventually I figured out, well, I could just break off the stems. And you can do that if you find something in nature that you need to alter, as long as it was already on the ground, right? We're not pulling it off of anything. So if it was on the ground, it had fallen, it was a dead leaf, then by all means you can break it a little bit or alter it somehow so that it works into your design. Next, I decided I liked the yellow leaves underneath the red ones to make another layer, but also to give it a little extra pop. The red is a warm color, and so is the yellow, so they kind of stand out to people. They pop. And so I was enjoying having that as an option. And then I started looking at going around in a circle, and then I saw these longer leaves that I had found, and those were good for expanding my flower, making it larger. So I got to start playing with that idea as well. Remember, you want to keep thinking about all those elements of art, of thinking about color and contrast and value and space and shape, how you're shaping your project. So those all still go into when I'm making it. You can see I'm breaking out some more leaves, breaking out those stems, making them fit underneath. And another thing is, it can get windy out there, so if you're choosing your medium, when you're choosing your pieces, be mindful of the wind if you're outside, because that can sometimes become a factor. And yeah, I had a few close calls, but I managed in the end to make a nice big flower. The nice thing about being in the park, though, is that I could go back and revisit. And remember, it was important to document it, so I have my photograph. But it's also fun because, remember, this is temporary, it's ephemeral, to go back and check on it every now and then and see what's changed, what's happened. So I was able to go back, and this is what it looked like after 6 hours, and this is what it looked like the next day. So it will change, it will alter, but that's part of the fun. So before you do this, one other little caution, some parks and beaches do not allow alterations to their environment. So if you go somewhere, just make sure there's no signs posted about that. They usually do have a post. If there's no signs, you're good. And but have fun. We're gonna go ahead and pause the video. And remember, you can also do this in your home if you have a shell collection, or if you have toys, anything that you have lying around that you can play with. You can do this inside as well as outside. And I made I made a shell one inside, so you'll see that one at the end of the video. But now it's time for you to pause the video and go out, have fun. Or you could, like I said, if you have some things at home and you want to just do it on a table first, and then before you go out, go right ahead. That works as well. But have fun, be respectful of nature, and when you're finished, pause the video now, and when you're finished, come back and see me when you're done. Right. And don't forget to photograph. Okay, so now that you've had your fun playing with natural materials and creating your Andy Goldsworthy creation, I hope you had a lot of fun doing it. I hope you continue to do these. I want you now to find somebody in your home, or write down, how is it different using natural materials versus other art materials? Was it harder? Was it easier? Just different? And how important was it to photograph them? And now that you know how to do this, how many more times are you going to make? How many more things are you going to make with this technique? So happy art making, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.